Do you remember Hatoful Boyfriend, the dating simulator where all the characters are birds? It was just a silly game where you went to a school full of birds and got to romance them all. I remember a lot of YouTubers doing one-off videos of it back in the day. They'd play the beginning where you meet all the birds, laugh at how funny it is, and then never play it again. I recently remembered Hatoful Boyfriend and thought to myself, you know, I should make a video on that strange, obviously a joke game, and we can all laugh about the bird dating sim. And then I actually played it. This is not a silly little game where you date birds. In fact, all the characters being birds is the least crazy thing about Hatoful Boyfriend. What if I told you that this game is the Doki Literature Club of 2011? Never did I expect to become so invested in the lives of pigeons and concerned for their well-being. I feel like I can't be the only one who thought that this was just a comedic game, not meant to be taken seriously. I mean, look at it. There have to be so many of you out there that don't know what this game really is. So today, I'm going to tell you all about the dark story that is hidden inside of a bird otome game. And obviously, if you don't want to be spoiled, this is your warning. Okay, so here's the premise of Hatoful Boyfriend. You are a human girl named Hiyoko, and you're attending St. Pidgeonations, a prestigious school for birds. That's right, you are the only human in a school full of birds. And it's not weird in this universe. Birds act just like you and me. They can talk, go to school, play sports, and have a job. They act just like people do. Again, this is the least crazy thing about Hatoful Boyfriend. Throughout the game, there will be hints that humans seem to be an endangered species, and birds have taken their place. I mean, Hiyoko literally lives in a cave and refers to herself as a hunter-gatherer. But you don't get any more information on that for a while, so let's get back to the setup. Hiyoko is excited to start her second year at St. Pidgeonations. We follow her through her first few days of the school year and meet all of the birds that we can date. That is such a weird sentence. Alright, so let me introduce all of the main characters to you. They each get their own human form that you get to see when you first meet them, but that's the only time they're shown. They are birds, and you will get their bird forms the rest of the game. First up is your best friend since childhood, Ryota. Then there's the aristocratic French transfer student, Sakia. There's the quiet Nageki, who always stays in the library by himself. Your sleepy homeroom teacher, Nanaki. The extremely creepy and untrustworthy school nurse, Shu. The flirtatious half-brother of Sakia that he looks down upon for not being a true aristocrat, Yuya. And finally, there's Oko-san. Yeah, for some reason, he just doesn't get a human form. He also only talks in coos, and the translation for what he's really saying is written beneath. He's also obsessed with pudding for some reason. Oko-san is a bit weird. Alright, so we've met our love interests. They're birds. So let's get into the meat of the game. You go through the school year, pursuing that special birdie at events like the school hike, the sports festival, New Year's, and Legumentine's Day, which is just Valentine's Day, except instead of giving out chocolate, you give out beans. Through these events, you can get onto the route of whatever bird you like. And this is when things start to take a turn. I'll go through each of the routes in the order that I experienced them, starting with Nageki. So Hiyoko takes a liking to the shy dove who spends all of his time alone in the library. She keeps him company, and the two grow close. However, as the route goes on, you'll start to notice that no one else ever speaks to Nageki, and you never see him outside of the library. He also seems to be struggling to remember something. The route ends with him realizing the truth. He shows Hiyoko that he literally can't leave the library. If he tries, there's an unforeseen force that prevents him from leaving. He reveals that he's remembered everything. Nageki is actually dead. He passed away there, and his soul has been trapped for years. But thanks to Hiyoko's love, his soul is finally able to move on. He begins to fade away as Hiyoko cries, begging him not to go. Nageki tells her that he loves her, before his spirit is freed from the school. What? That was so depressing. I thought this was a silly little game about dating birds, but now I'm sad. The next route is Oko-san's. He and Hiyoko spend a lot of time together talking about pudding. Oko-san's dream is to find the true pudding. He decides that he's going to leave St. Pidgeonations behind so he can go and find it. Hiyoko loves him, so she goes with him. They spend years searching for the true pudding. One day, they finally find it, and then Oko-san turns into Putty, Lord of Pudding. He explains that Oko-san was just his avatar on the mortal plane, and now he has returned to his true form. He departs from Earth to become the ideal of pudding, leaving Hiyoko sad and alone. Then, the entire world is engulfed by pudding. The end. Okay, that one was just really weird. But I guess I should have expected that from a character like Oko-san. But like, how did we go from being depressed that our bird boyfriend is actually dead to pudding gods. Talk about whiplash. Next is the creepy school nurse, Shu. In his route, Hiyoko and Yuya join the infirmary staff. Shu is extremely sketchy throughout the entire route. He tells Hiyoko to never touch the things on his desk, and he often says things like this. You also just keep finding him doing weird stuff, like disposing of things in an incinerator. Shu is very obviously a serial killer, and Hiyoko is ignoring all the red flags because she thinks he's hot. Which I could at least kind of understand if he looked like this. But no, he looks like this. One day, you walk in on Shu confronting Yuya. He says that Yuya moved some of the files on his desk. Yuya tries to lie and say that it couldn't have been him. He was with Hiyoko. But unfortunately for him, Hiyoko is too far down the Shu rabbit hole at this point, and is like, nope, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about, Yuya. I wasn't with you. Then, on Christmas, you receive a present from Shu, a quill pen and a chicken to have for dinner. No. At the end of the route, Hiyoko walks in on Shu dismembering a student. He tells Hiyoko that the chicken she ate at Christmas was actually Yuya. He killed him for messing with his files, and now he's going to kill her for what she saw. But because he admires her dedication to him so much, he'll keep her head as a trophy. The route ends with what seems like soldiers of some sort trying to hunt down Shu, and they say that he's on the run with the sample. Shu asks our severed head if we love him, and we're given no choice but to say yes. Then Shu gets gunned down. The end. Well, that was horrifying. These endings are insane. I mean, we have one that's super depressing, one that's super weird, and this. Anyway, there's a new route unlocked. Yay! Now that we've completed Shu's route, we can meet a new bird named Angel and play his route. He's a student in the class next door and is one of those wacky characters that's like, I am a fallen angel and the evil Wallenstein is lurking inside the school. We must defeat him. Hiyoko, you too were an angel in a past life. He seems crazy, but he's actually not. Turns out everything he's saying is true, and this evil Wallenstein he's referring to is Shu. He and Hiyoko fight Shu in a turn-based RPG and defeat him. Hiyoko remembers her past life as an angel, and the time she and Angel spent together. The two then live on happily, so this is the least depressing route so far. But it's also one of the weirdest. Not Oko-san weird, but still weird. Okay, next up is the French aristocrat, Sakia. He's from the prestigious Labelle family, and has recently transferred to St. Pidgeonations. He had never met his half-brother, Yuya, before transferring, but he looks down on him and calls him a mongrel for not having pure Labelle blood. Sakia is often playing the piano and asking Hiyoko about her passions. Eventually, he reveals that he doesn't really want to fulfill his duty and take over the Labelle family. He wants to pursue music, but he's worried his father won't accept him. Hiyoko supports him and tells him that he should follow his dreams. Sakia's worst fears come true though, and he is kicked out of the family after expressing his desire to pursue music. It's okay though, because he starts living with Hiyoko in her cave home, and the two are happy. The route ends with Hiyoko receiving a letter from Yuya. He says that one day, he will have something very important to tell Sakia. Aside from that ominous letter, this route was surprisingly normal. Okay, now it's time for our teacher, Nanaki. He's pretty normal throughout the entire route, but you're left with a feeling that there's something off about him. Like at one point, he talks to Shu as if he has an idea of what he's really doing. Another time, he drops a photo of a bird that's completely scribbled out. When Hiyoko returns it, he says that it's a picture of someone important to him that died, and he couldn't bear to look at it anymore. In the end, Hiyoko tells Nanaki that she loves him, but he's like, I lost the ability to love. If you still like me when you're older, come find me, and maybe I'll have regained my love by then. And that is code for, I am your teacher and an adult, this is not happening. Next up is Yuya. We join the infirmary staff again, but this time, let's cover for him when Shu is confronting him so we don't end up eating him for Christmas dinner. I'm so sorry that happened, Yuya. So throughout this entire route, Yuya is his usual suave, flirtatious self, but Hiyoko starts to notice some odd things. He seems to be sneaking around and gathering information. Danger is also following him, and he nearly gets shot at one point. Eventually, he reveals the truth to Hiyoko. There are two political groups, the Dove Party and the Hawk Party. The Dove Party wants to live peacefully with the remaining humans, and the Hawk Party wants to eliminate them. Yuya is a spy for the Dove Party, who has been asked to investigate St. Pidgeonations since there have been reports of strange activity from the Hawk Party there. Yuya is involved in some dangerous business because of this and has to go on the run. The route ends with Hiyoko running off with him. Okay, now we've got warring political groups, one of which wants to eradicate humanity. This is starting to get a little insane, isn't it? Okay, one route left, and it's our best friend Ryota. He and Hiyoko have known each other since childhood and are really close. Ryota's mom is in the hospital, and he has to work several jobs to help pay for her medical bills, since his dad has already died. On top of all that, Ryota is pretty sick himself, and has constant stomach pain. His route is all about how he's struggling with his mother's declining health. In the end, his mom passes away, and he feels like he's all alone. Hiyoko says that he has her, and admits that she loves him. Ryota initially rejects her, due to him also being sickly, and he doesn't want Hiyoko to go through that. Hiyoko tells him that it's okay. They'll just make the most of the time they do have. And we're back to a depressing end. Now, that was the final route, but it's not the end of the game. If anything, it's only just beginning. There's been some weird stuff that's gone unanswered. Who gunned down Shu? What was the important thing that Yuya needed to tell Sakuya? What's the deal with the Hawk Party? Who was the bird in the picture Nanaki scribbled on? All of these questions still need answered, right? Well, now that we've finished all the routes, a new one has been unlocked, and it's called Hurtful Boyfriend. If you thought this game had some sad and creepy moments before, well, buckle up, because things are about to get dark. Hurtful Boyfriend starts off the same. Everything's pretty normal, but this time around, we get to hear Nanaki give a history lesson that explains exactly what happened to humanity. There was a deadly bird flu going around, so humans created a virus to eradicate the birds. But then the virus mutated, making the birds bigger, smarter, human-like. They didn't take kindly to people trying to kill them, so a war started between the two, with the humans losing and becoming an endangered species. Now birds get along with the remaining humans relatively well, but there are still those who feel otherwise. The game continues on without much change, but then Hiyoko goes missing. Eventually, Ryota finds her severed head in a box, and the rest of her body is also cut up and spread throughout the school. Then a huge dome closes around the school, trapping everyone inside. With Hiyoko dead, you now play as Ryota, and he works with Sakuya to find out who the murderer is and why they're all trapped inside St. Pidgeonations. All of the routes leading up to this were merely a prologue. This is the real story of Hatoful Boyfriend. Hurtful Boyfriend is 8 chapters long and goes on for quite a while, so if I tried to go through the whole thing chronologically, we'd be here forever. So I'm gonna go ahead and speed run through the whole thing and give you the main points. I'm also doing it this way because you are going to get so much whiplash from all the things I'm about to reveal in rapid succession, and I think that's hilarious. Okay, so Ryota and Sakuya are investigating the school, trying to figure out what's going on, when they're attacked by a giant scarecrow robot that will chase them around throughout the entire route. They try to get some information from the principal, only to discover that he too is dead. Their number one suspect is, of course, Shu, but he insists that it wasn't him and tells Ryota that he's forgetting something. Later, they find a door in the dome around the school. When they open it, a random NPC bird flies out and immediately gets shot and dies. They find some documents that explain that Hiyoko and St. Pidgeonations are an experiment. The Dove Party enrolled her to show that humans and birds can get along. However, a deal was made. If anything ever happens to her, the remaining humans would rise up and wage war on the birds. So there are a bunch of armed humans outside the dome waiting to kill all the birds for what they did to Hiyoko. Also, as part of the deal, if Hiyoko can't form a strong relationship with anyone at the school, it will prove the Hawk Party's point that the two species can't coexist, and she will be killed. So if you don't get close to anyone in the dating sim portion of the game, and don't end up on a route, you'll get a bad end where you're shot. Awesome! Moving on, Ryota doesn't believe that Shu is innocent, so he and Sakuya confront him. This conversation ends with Shu attempting to kill Sakuya with a poisoned scalpel. But then, Yuya jumps in front of him and takes the hit. As Yuya's life fades, he tells Sakuya the truth. They're not half-brothers. They are real, full-fledged brothers. When Yuya was young, his father was killed by Monsieur Lebel, leader of the Lebel family, because he wanted to be with Yuya's mother. She was forced to marry him, and was told to smash the egg of her unborn son. She couldn't bring herself to do it, so Yuya said that he would. However, he replaced the egg of his brother, Sakuya, with the egg of his unborn half-sibling, belonging to Monsieur Lebel. He smashed the egg of his half-brother, so Monsieur Lebel would believe that Sakuya was his real son, and Yuya has lived with the guilt all of his life. He dies in the wings of Sakuya, leaving his brother feeling awful about how he treated him after all he's done to protect him. Later, they team up with Nanaki and find an underground lab. To no one's surprise, Shu is part of the Hawk Party, and long ago, he and a team of researchers conducted experiments on students in the lab below the school. Their goal was to make the virus that killed humans stronger. One of the people they experimented on was none other than Nageki. The virus was very strong in him, and the experiments only made it worse. He didn't want to hurt people anymore, so he set the lab on fire, locking himself inside and dying. The only survivor of the incident was Shu, who went by another alias at the time. The Scarecrow robot is also one of his creations, and Ryota is able to take it out by using a taser on it. They reach Shu, and he still insists that he didn't kill Hiyoko. The truth is actually much worse. Since Ryota is so sickly, he would often go to the nurse's office. There, Shu would experiment on him. He gave him a liver transplant from the deceased Nageki. This caused the cells inside of him to mutate, so now he carries the deadly disease to humans. So the one who killed Hiyoko was none other than Ryota. The virus killed her, and Shu cut up her body and spread it throughout the school. Then, he implanted Hiyoko's brain into the Scarecrow, meaning that Ryota technically killed her a second time when he tased her. Oh my god, this is too much information. In his despair, Shu is able to manipulate Ryota into going further into the lab with him, while the others are trapped. Here, he experiments on Ryota further, making him deadly to any human he interacts with. They will die instantly from being near him, but then all of the other birds show up, including Oko-san and Angel, the school weirdos, and they're able to break free of the cage that holds them back. They stop Shu and save Ryota. So, are your brains exploding from all this information yet? Well, hold on, because we've got another big reveal. Ryota's dad was a researcher, and he was best friends with Shu. Before he died, he asked Shu to look after Ryota. Shu then asked a baby Ryota what his greatest wish was, to which he responded, peace. But the crazy Shu interpreted this to mean, kill all humans so there is peace, and began his experiments. But wait, there's another reveal. Nanaki pulls out a gun and shoots Shu, demanding that he reveal where Nageki's body is. Shu now realizes Nanaki's true identity. He's Nageki's older brother, Hitori, who sent Nageki to St. Pidgeonations after they promised they'd help him with his poor health and the strong human-killing virus inside him. He went there one day, only to discover that the place was on fire. He was able to speak to Nageki one last time before he died, and learned the truth of what was happening to him there. Hitori developed audio and visual hallucinations of Nageki, begging him to get revenge for him. He stole the identity of another bird named Nanaki, bleached his feathers, and took a job as a teacher at St. Pidgeonations so that he could track down Shu, who was using a new identity at this point, and find Nageki's body. Back to the present, Shu says that all that's left of Nageki is the liver inside of Ryota. Nanaki takes Ryota and tries to cut him open so he can take the liver back and be with Nageki once more. But then, the ghost of Nageki is able to speak through Ryota and calm him down, telling him that it's okay and he doesn't want revenge. Nanaki snaps out of it and they all prepare to leave. But then, Ryota locks himself inside the lab with the remains of Hiyoko in the Scarecrow. He wants to stay locked up because now he's deadly to all humans. The others swear that they'll come back for him when they find a cure to the virus and a way to revive Hiyoko. Then there's an epilogue where it's revealed that Yuya survived and helped the others find a way to save their friends. The game ends with them heading back to the lab, ready to bring back Ryota and Hiyoko. The end. And that is the true story of Hatoful Boyfriend. I really was just throwing out plot twist after plot twist at the end there. I mean, I was overwhelmed just trying to explain it to you. But that's just how Hurtful Boyfriend is. Constant big reveals and depressing backstories. Do you guys understand what I mean now, though? How the bird dating sim aspect is the least crazy thing about this game? And how it's like the 2011 version of Doki Doki Literature Club? Like, not in the sense of the fourth wall breaking and taking over your files and stuff, but more in the sense that it just seems like a lighthearted Otome game when there's actually a dark story lurking beneath. They lure you in with the silly concept of dating birds, only to hit you with a bunch of depressing endings, lore, and mystery. And the dating sim aspect is just a prologue to the real story that is Hurtful Boyfriend. It's kind of genius. I'm a little disappointed that so many people just wrote it off as a dumb game back in the day and only did one-off videos of it. And I am included in that group, okay? I just thought it was funny to see people react to their human portraits and moved on. I never looked into the full game. When I came up with the idea for this video, I fully expected to come on here and be like, remember the bird dating sim? Wasn't it weird? And yeah, it was weird and had a lot of goofy moments, but it also had an actually really dark and well-written story hiding beneath the surface. I'm never going to look at a bird the same. I'm going to think of the evil Shu who ran off with my head, or my best friend Ryota, who accidentally killed me with a deadly virus. Did any of you play Hatoful Boyfriend when it came out? If you didn't, are you as shocked as I was to find out that this is what it was really about? Please let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if there are other crazy games like this one, or just other games or movies or shows in general that you want me to make a video on. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to see more content from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!